Peter Valley, FBAmastery.com here. In this video, I'm going to cover why over 99% of all used books are completely worthless on Amazon. They'll make you no money, and the 5 reasons that cause books to lose their value. If you understand what I'm about to teach you in this video, it allows you to focus in on that 1/2% of books that are actually worth money. Ignore the rest. Extremely valuable info here. Let's get into it. Okay, it's a sobering fact. Most of us know this. If you don't, I got to be the bearer of bad news. Probably on average, about 1 in 200 used books have any value on Amazon. The good news is there are only 5 things that cause books to lose their value. And if you can identify those 5 things, that allows you to look at a shelf of books, you're out in a bookstore, and identify the books that have a high likelihood of having no value, which again is over 99%. And that allows you to focus on the small percentage of books that actually do have a high likelihood of value. So you can focus on those and increase your sourcing speed dramatically. It's only 5 reasons books lose value. So we're going to get into that here in just a second. Now, what I'm going to teach you in this video destroys the majority of common bookseller myths, particularly if you're just getting started. And if you're not just getting started, I know you'll be able to relate to this. When I got started, I remember thinking like, oh, it's like hardcovers must be the most valuable books because they have a high cover price, right? You guys relate to this? Or I remember thinking, oh, it must be like the popular authors that are worth money because they're popular, so there must be value there, right? Or, the more mainstream a subject is, the more popular it's going to be, and therefore the more it's going to sell for, right? If you don't have these beliefs now, you did at one point, and what I'm about to teach you is going to destroy all of these. One of the craziest things in this business is when I talk to sellers, how few people actually realize that book value is not random. People just think you got 2 books side by side. It's only left to the whimsy of the gods that one is worth $20 and one is worth $4. Absolutely not true. There are principles that drive value just as well as there are principles that destroy value. And if you can understand what each of these are, it allows you to focus on the small percentage of books that are worth money and ignore the 99.5% that are not worth money, which again directly translates to more profits. So right now, a lot of you, if not most of you, are thinking, Peter Valley, why do I care if I can spot value? What does that matter? I've got a scanning app. That's what scanning apps do. That's why I pay for a scanning app, just so I can shut off my brain and just let the scanning app tell me what's worth money. You guys ever watch Shark Tank? I forget, I think it's like Kevin O'Leary, like one of the guys is always like, when someone's saying something dumb from the stage, he's like, a moment of silence for the money that is lost or the money that you've wasted or whatever. Let's do that right now. Let's take a moment of silence for all the money that is lost by people that think that they can just shut off their brains and defer entirely to their Amazon scanning app. It's an absolute tragedy. The money that is wasted is absolutely immeasurable. And the graveyard of bodies of former sellers that have passed away, figuratively speaking, because they did not understand this concept that you cannot just shut off your brain and defer to your scan app. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of bodies in that graveyard. Okay, that's how serious this is. The reason that you can't just defer entirely to your scanning app is that you've got to decide before you pick up a book to scan it whether it's worth scanning. I call this concept pre-scanning. Very important. It's worth a whole other video, which I will make. But the point of this is you've got to have some filter. You can't just scan everything. If you are scanning everything, if you don't change this behavior immediately, you have no future in Amazon book selling, period. It just will not work for you, okay? Most book sources have more books than you have time to scan them. And so it is absolute insanity. I will call whatever federal agency I have to have you institutionalized immediately if you're still doing this, okay? You usually do not have time to scan everything, number one, and you shouldn't want to scan everything. We're all going to die soon. Who wants to be scanning 50 copies of like some Time Life book or romance novels or Fit for Life or whatever, right? We don't have time for that. So you got to understand, you got to be able to look at books and be like, I can tell because of the principles I learned from Peter Valley in this video, because of the principles I learned, this book almost definitely is not worth money. This book might be worth money. So you can focus on the mights and not the definitely nots. So a huge purpose of what I'm about to teach you is so that you can, in a split second, and I mean 1/100th of a second size of a book, and go, wow, one of these 5 destroyers of book value, one of these 5 destroyers of book profits applies. And so therefore I'm not going to pick up and scan that book. This is not something where you pick up a book and you're like, all right, number 1, number 2, number 3. That's not what I'm talking about here. That's not the purpose of this video. By the end of this video, if you learn what's in this video, you're going to be able to you're going to look at a book, oftentimes just based on the spine alone, and in a microsecond, be like, next. And that allows you to increase your sourcing speed dramatically. All right, look, I got to do it. Listen, if you do not hit the link below this video and go to FBAmastery.com right now, I am going to come to your house personally and rearrange all your furniture. Okay, that's how important this is. You think this video is good, and it is. The real value, the real bombshells happen on FBAmastery.com. Hit the link below this video. Go there right now and subscribe and like this video. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, now we're getting into it. This is what you came for, the 5 destroyers of book profit. Number 1 is mass supply, supply that exceeds demand. In a sense, this is kind of the umbrella that the other 4 sort of fall under. This is a big one, right? This is just like economics 101. You got supply that exceeds demand, price goes down. Really, really simple, right? This is the number 1 reason that bestsellers are the worst books to source and resell on Amazon. The worst. Because if you don't catch them in the first 6 months, 9 months, a year, almost all books are worthless, okay? The reason is most books are most popular right when they're published. And then after that, the demand goes down to the point where supply exceeds demand. And that's when we get books selling for $4 FBA or crazy prices, okay? So anytime you can look at a book and reasonably determine that, hey, this book was a bestseller, it is not anymore, its demand has peaked, you can reasonably assume that book is worth no money on Amazon. By the way, this is like, what I just covered right here is like literally the vast majority of all books. Number 2, okay, now we're getting really specific. Mass appeal. If you're looking at a book and it has mass appeal, broad appeal, you can almost completely rule it out, unless it's a recently published book, almost completely rule it out as being worth money. The reason is books only hold on to their value when the subject matter, generally speaking, is very, very niche. Now, a lot of people, again, if you're one of the people that still thinks like, book value is random, this is like blowing your mind right now, okay? And it should be, but this is absolutely true. The internet has created a world where broad subject matter can be easily addressed by an internet search, and very, very hyper niche subject matter is what people turn to books for now in the internet age. So the day of mass market general subject matter books holding their value is long gone. That world does not exist anymore, period. I'll give you an example. So let's just say like you got a book that's like cardio training for teenage jiu-jitsu black belts. I just made that up, okay? That book's likely to hold its value. The Rolling Stone Guide to Classic Rock, no. The world doesn't need that anymore. We don't need books for that anymore. We don't need these generic mass market like broad subject matter titles. They just simply don't hold their value. They come out, they sell a few copies, penny book status shortly thereafter. Okay, number 3, at a glance may seem to be the exact same thing as the last one, but it's actually very, very different, okay? So number 3 is mass accessibility of the subject matter. So with number 2, we're talking about forces that are driven by book buyers' searching habits. With number 3, we're talking about subject matter that is simply unavailable anywhere else, okay? So with mass accessibility, if you have a book that has subject matter that cannot easily be obtained anywhere else. It can't easily be obtained through a Google search. It can't easily be obtained through, or at all for that matter. It may just be a book on a subject that simply there's no other option on earth to get that subject matter other than that book. That is a recipe for value. But again, glass half empty version of this, the destroyer of book value version of this is if a book contains subject matter that can easily be obtained anywhere else, it's not going to hold its value, period. So another way to look at this is the narrower the subject matter, the more likely it is for the book to hold its value. And the broader the subject matter, which again is related to the last one, but the broader in the sense that the reader has many other options as to where to obtain that content. That's a recipe for a book to lose its value. So again, as I always say with book selling, all roads lead back to niche. They lead back to specialized. They lead back to narrow subject matter being where the value is. Destroyer of book profit number 4 is anything that is susceptible to trends. Trend sensitivity is a massive destroyer of book profit. That could either be the subject matter is sensitive to trends or the author is themselves sensitive to a trend. So in other words, you get a celebrity author, almost all books by celebrities are worthless within months. Now also be the subject matter. A lot of subject matter is susceptible to trends. So if you're looking at a book and you're like, all right, that book is about a subject that is really not fashionable anymore, you can pretty much write that book off as having any value. Because again, when it was fashionable, the demand was much greater than it is now. And again, the market's probably experienced a glut of supply, which caused the demand and the prices consequently to go down. You can see on the screen here, I wedged in a copy of a cover of the guy from Pawn Stars, like the reality show. I think his book came out like a year ago. It might have some, I didn't look it up. It might have some value still, but like not for long, right? Like Sorry, but it's a reality show. It's going to get canceled, and no one's going to care about this guy very, very shortly. Lastly, number 5, obsolescence. Now, this is similar to number 4, but it's a little bit different. I'm not just talking about something that is no longer fashionable. I'm talking about subject matter that's completely obsolete. So if you're at a book source and you see a book and you're like, all right, that subject matter is literally obsolete. Like, there is no reason on this earth for anyone to care about what's in this book. It shouldn't even matter what your scanning app says. A lot of times those books will actually show value on your scanning app, but the price is artificially high. It means there's just a low supply, so nobody's buying the book. So the price you see doesn't actually reflect what people are paying for it. But an example of a book that's obsolete would be like, you see here on the screen, a microwave repair guide from like the early 80s, right? Microwaves aren't collectible, okay? These microwaves are not in production anymore. There's no reason anyone would want a microwave repair guide from the 1980s. Just none, right? It's not like a model train repair guide from the 1980s because there may be collector value there. That doesn't apply to microwaves, right? It's literally an obsolete book. Another example might be an older edition of a textbook. Now, I want to be clear. A lot of times older editions of textbooks sell, and they sell really well. So I don't mean any older edition of a textbook, but I just mean oftentimes you will see an edition if it's like, you know, one textbook's on the 20th edition, that same textbook had like a 12th edition. Chances are pretty good the 12th edition is no longer selling. The book has been updated many times over, and it's just truly a literally obsolete book. Now remember, the point of everything I just taught you here is so that in a microsecond, you'll be able to look at a whole table of books at a book sale or a whole shelf of books at a thrift store, and almost instantaneously, within, again, a tenth of a second, be able to be like, all right, that book, one of those 5 things applies. It's probably not worth money. And you'll just be able to move on to the next one without having to pick it up and scan it. That time adds up. You can increase your scanning rate tenfold, if not 100-fold, if you apply what you learned in this video. Yes, this does work. No, it's not that hard to learn. And yes, it does allow you to hone in on the small percentage of books that are profitable with extreme accuracy. So thank you guys for being part of really the small percentage of Amazon sellers that really understand why this stuff is so important. Don't hesitate to reach out at fbamastery.com. I will see you guys over there. I got tons more articles, tons more good stuff. And you can reach out to me anytime, Peter at fbamastery.com. All right, last thing. I said this before. I'm going to threaten you again. If you do not head to fbamastery.com right now, the link is right below this video. If you don't go there right now, I'm going to come to your house personally and rearrange all your furniture when you're not looking. And I will completely ruin your life. You're going to come home, you're going to sit down, and you're just going to fall on the ground because your chair is going to be in the wrong place, okay? That is the threat you have dangling over your head right now. Head over to fbamastery.com. You can avoid this fate. You get all the free stuff you see here. You can build a whole business off of what I give away for free. And I got to remind you to subscribe to this channel. Don't miss the next video. Like it, all that stuff. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.